was a Reddit post. I was scammed out of $34,000 project because of Luminara and VForge. Here's the proof. So there was like during the first stream, there was a tweet that got very little traction that called out VForge and said that their CEO Sunny, who had publicly distanced themselves from Luminara just recently, they were like, that guy is shady too. And I believe that they're only publicly distancing themselves from Luminara because they're under controversy, because when I worked there, these two seemed really close. Now, there's been more things coming out of VForge, and I'm getting of the opinion that VForge is fucking shady as well. And I want to read this doc because apparently they were never paid $34,000, which is a huge sum of money. I haven't read it yet, but I've also seen other stuff about VForge that really makes me suss them out. That's my TLDR. Oh god, it's long. TLDR, if you don't know me, I'm Soleil, and while I do stream content, I work at companies such as Accenture and other big tech companies as a brand and web designer and developer. I'm very familiar with corporate branding, and VForge was no different. VForge brought me on as a short-form editor making ends meet, but I had offered my services to Sunny to help with their branding, and that expanded to their web designers, eventually becoming one of the higher staff members of VForge as a whole. These services were agreed to be paid at a later time, with no expectations to the limit of that cost. When I was wrongfully terminated after showing my concern with how the agency has been building into, along with two other members sharing similar concerns along with their own, I was asked to provide an invoice for the services I've provided. Considering the consistent work I've done since October 2025, I asked a total of $33,750 for the brand design, research, visionary work, along with the website research, design, and development. I was instead giving an ultimatum to accept at the latest $1,000 for the full IP rights or the assets never be used, and I accept no payment. As of today, VForge has yet to pay me in full for my work and has since used and modified the work I did for their website and their branding, even going as far as to transform certain parts in a way not true to any guidelines I've provided. As a person who's only worked in the corporate space, this is the first time I've been swindled for my work, and as a person who is currently unemployed and makes very little from content creation, an invoice like that helps pay for the 4 months of work and employment I passed up, as well as discarding any opportunities I was provided for being a willing and continued member of VForge. So what does that have to do with Luminara? Well, Sunny was heavily persuaded and guided by Kamana, with the staff of VForge being aware of how Sunny's behavior has changed. The community started as a middleman to provide any service to any talent, and it was left as an editor's sweatshop, focusing on time-limited edits to meet corporate budgets. What it is today is not what I or any of the staff intended. Kamana influenced Sunny heavily, and unfortunately others in ways I won't begin to describe. If you were affected by Kamana or Luminara in any capacity, my heart goes out to you. If you're reading the rest of this document, I want to reiterate one thing. Okay, two things. If your name is mentioned or somehow did not redact a worse, a person who has agreed to come forward, do not ridicule them or show hatred. This was a 4 months of business that ended 3 months ago, and while there will be screenshots provided where I can, there are going to be points I will have no screenshots and will be remembered for the best of my ability. You have every right to be skeptical and should be. Okay. October 2025. A friend who requested to remain anonymous asked me for my portfolio to send to Sunny, specifically in response to this tweet. Would any VTubers/V artists be interested in potentially joining a creative team or agency that offers editing, art, graphics, and management? All of these, like art, graphics, and management, like companies or whatever, they're all fucking overpriced. All of them. Some of them will ask to work with you, and then you're like, okay, what are their prices? And it's the worst out of market prices you will ever see, and I feel so bad for the VTubers that fall for it. Like I just always politely decline, or I'm like, I don't need anything right now, but I don't know who's buying this shit. At this time, I was still living in Seattle and short on cash, where I had to move back home with my parents, and was helping me get some work under my belt to hopefully make ends meet, or at the very least extend my cash reserve. I sent my information over, and from the conversations that were promising. Hey, related to earlier, would you also be open to recommendations for editors that could be good to bring for that agency? And then Sunny responds, oh yeah, 100%. I was planning to get a few things ready and open applications in time. Hell yeah, I might have an editor or two to send your way. Sunny says, awesome. Definitely send me some stuff so I'll check them out. Honestly, I've had my eye on Soleil's editing for a while. From the Render 2 server, she's been working on her own videos for a long time. She's been talking about getting into editing for other clients recently. Given the quality of what I'm seeing, I think she's got a shot at doing that. Okay, so here he talks with Soleil. That's the friend, I guess. Okay, so Soleil and the friend are talking about this job opportunity. On October 1st, 2025, I received a message from Sunny for the first time. He was nice enough to introduce me to this new project called VForge. These early texts are what I established and reinforced with all members of VForge to this day. Hi Soleil, sorry for the message out of the blue. I'm starting a creative team that includes editors. I'm looking for talents to bring on, and Redacted recommended you to me as a great candidate. Really liked your editing. I decided to reach out. Hello, nice to meet you. Happy yada yada. Okay, so I was telling him about this project I was working on, and he gave me a few editor recommendations. About the project, it's been an idea of mine for a few months and I've been trying to bring it to life fairly recently. I want to start an agency for creative, which started off as editors, graphic designers, artists, and VTuber managers. The agency would be commission-based. Unfortunately, I don't have the money to personally fund multiple salaries. But I think I have a great idea and I'm willing to part tons of efforts and time into it. Try to make something that I haven't really seen. How the agency would function is by offering the services of multiple creatives where clients can visit our website or VGen where they can choose a specific talent to send a commission request to, or send a request that anyone can accept, and the agency will offer bundles to Vtuber and also to other agencies. Basically, it'll be part of a team that will promote you and put you out there and handle everything for you. What do you think about that? And of course, I want to grow to the agency into something much more, but baby steps first. Sounds awesome. I can definitely see this someday doing work directly for companies like Luminara to help with branding and editing, work as an all-stop shop, or potentially keep capacity to a level where we can provide a lot of help to indies. So this is Soleil responding here. I don't know how much I can help outside of short editing. I do handle my own graphic designs and my own branding as a VTuber, but I don't know how confident I am offering this at a commission level. At the same time, I want to offer shorts at a small capacity, sort of. At the moment, I'm at a point where I haven't been able to secure a job, as editing is the skill that I can generally provide until I can get a position or content creation picks up enough. I see I'm actually friends with a few people at Luminara, so that's definitely not too far-fetched. Also, the creatives that are part of the team can only be able to do one thing. If you're only comfortable with shorts, that's perfectly okay. As for workload, you can only take a certain amount of solely okay as well. You have the right to decline and accept as you go. I want to ask, have you taken any commission or work for anyone before? If so, would you have your prices set to shorts for under 1 minute? This screenshot shows me the irony that I was interested in seeing how VForge could work with Luminara, but admitting he knew Cam since the beginning caught me off guard. I thought I knew recently. Turns out it was all along. Conversation continued mainly to exchange information and interview with another person. Eventually, I received a TOS, which after reading needed a lot of work. So overall, understanding the TOS, however, has some concerns I want to bring up and get your opinion on. Ownership of media produced is shared between the artist and VForge for as long as the artist is part of VForge, for advertisement, gallery, and display purposes. There's not much description to where ownership is transferred when an artist departs, including the term is part of can be pretty gray with commission work. I'd appreciate more insight in this clause. Team members may take commissions outside of VForge. That feels like conflict with the previous clause. For example, if I take commissions on my own VGen page, the general media produced would imply the work I do indie would be owned by VForge. Would it? Clients working through VForge must not DM artists directly. This might also be a conflict as this doesn't clarify VForge related work. Use of AI generated work is strictly prohibited. Best rule. There's a lot to describe here. Okay, so the thing is, because DaVinci Resolves use AI tools for subtitles, she wants him to like specify that they can use that or not. She basically just wants clarifications, okay? Because this TOS is written in a very amateurish way. So they found a compromise. October 5th is where my skill as a designer comes in. As somebody requests help with the VForge website. I'm making a profiles of everyone for the VForge website, and I'm going to make yours. This is how we laid it out. So as soon as you can see, I have 4 categories at the top what to offer. So you'll only be offering shorts, right? And then she offers more categories. So this is everything I've designed, from small things like text, starting soon, some overlay, HTML designs. I need to bring my assets together. Okay, she's showing him what she's done. The way would you use to build your website? I use Framer for my own stuff, and I could potentially use Card. For a button like that, it'd be impossible with Card. Oh wow, I never heard of it. That's awesome. Looks great. Do you have any feedback on the layout of the website so far? So he's asking for her opinion, and he's like, that's so cool. Okay, still pretty early on. It's a demo, so they're just placeholders. I bet he's gonna ask her to do it for him now. From this point on, Sunday night I started working together on the website, and the next I asked asked Sunny about having a style sheet so I can ensure the designs I implement are tailored to their branding. Since Firefox and myself had issues with how the design looks similar to CurseForge, wait, it does look super similar to CurseForge. So she took the initiative to work on a logo that would better fit VForge brand. From this point on, our discussions are purely focused on business. Does this design look good, or should I change this? The website eventually gets delayed and slowly iterated over time, moving from card to framer. One last note that'll be important later. Through the proactiveness would imply I'm doing this of my own volition. Sunny was expecting to pay from the beginning. I reassured him that I'd only ask for payments later, once things are settled in. A call I wish I hadn't made. Yeah, that's a big mistake. Well, the problem is that I can't offer payment right now. I would like to be paid, but that can be like a future thing. What do you have right now is really good and we can work within its limitation. Valid. Can I share a card project with you? Oh wait, I can add you as an editor if that's something you would want to do. No judgment though if not. We can do a little preliminary. We'll discuss payment when we feel is appropriate. I'm a person who wants to see this work after all, so asking for payment for something you didn't ask for would be indecent of me. Yeah, we can do that for sure. What's your email so I can add you? The insults. We're going to the insult section. Did this dude actually do anything besides talk bullshit and get others to do all the work? No, I don't think so. Okay, they are screenshots redacted with red. These are hot shack. They agreed to be public about their situation with Sunny. Anything redacted in red refers to him. In November, I reached out to Sunny about an editor I work with. She seems like a great fit, and while I didn't provide a good first impression, I was still interested in interviewing her. I got a recommendation on you for editors. Well, them saying they can't be ours to fill out a form to join an agency makes me already not a huge fan of their attitude towards VForge. Their work does look really good. The last message kind of threw me off, and they just had badmouth hot chat who I wasn't even aware they were interviewing. I'm not sure you're familiar with someone named Hotchak. He's a regular in the Rendir VC, and I ended up turning him down today because I really didn't like his attitude at all. Hotchak was kind enough to provide screenshots of their whole interview, which I will put in a separate tab. Sunny assured me to interview them first thing in the morning, but what I woke up to was that she was denied, and denied in a manner I wouldn't expect from them. Hi Sol, I reach out to redacted name. I'm really not a big fan of their attitude. It comes off as very unprofessional. And Soleil says it's in your best judgment. It's just kind of how she is. She's a kind person to anyone from my experience. And she's like, well, if they're not speaking, you know, directly to the clients, doesn't matter how they come off to. And he says, yeah, I know what you're getting at, but there's a big difference just hanging out with friends and having a good time and being part of an agency. What they've displayed and the vibe I've gotten from some of the render group is pretty unprofessional and rude, and it comes off as they're too good to care. I don't want someone who displays those qualities as part of my team. I take this very seriously. This is an actual job opportunity, and I think responses like, yeah, sure, I guess, don't make sense. If we're just friends and homie just chilling out, I wouldn't care. Okay, I feel like there's a lot of padding in this doc. I sort of agreed and moved on, hoping to get more information from my friend later. Turns out they were never actually interviewed in the first place. Screenshot below is from my friend, redacted accordingly. Hi, name Saul. Saul recommended you, and I said great things. I really like your editing style. Would you be up for chatting about possibly joining VForge? She says, yeah. That's all? This yeah with the smiley face is what he said was not great attitude? And then she bumped him again. He didn't respond. The fuck? This also discusses what happened with Hotchak. He has been denied for asking if the clients can pay for the fee, which is a part of VForge payment structure. This is a point all along. Editors will always get paid what they ask for, and fees are added and charged to the client. Clarification is what he asked. Alright, so Soleil here is writing, hey, can you join Render 2? I need to talk to you about something with redacted names about Sunny. I also wanted to add on top of this for tomorrow's talk, one person and I realized Sunny made a judgment call at 11:27, told me his decision at 11:32. This person responded at 11:35, so there was no way for Sunny to make a judgment just on her DM reply alone. And if it's a time to reply, that's even more annoying. Oh, it's right. She's right. So he told her that that person was unprofessional. They didn't even have time to respond yet, and he had already made up their mind. He responded to Sunny at 11:33 Sorry, at Soleil. He responded to Soleil at 11:32. This is really confusing because she's called Soleil and he's called Sunny, and they mean the same thing, but in French and in English. While Sunny was willing to give her proper interview after discussion, she rightfully didn't care to follow up. Throughout November, I would get a message of issues Sunny had with other people, some I had no relation to. Hey, I know this comes out of the blue, but I just want to let you know that I don't really feel comfortable with all of these heart reactions. I know that this is probably just your way of communicating, but since I'm engaged, I don't really like it this way. Okay. One of the former members of VForge had to have control over their commission and was asking to be removed from the banners and website. The leave was abrupt and worried Sunny often through the issues don't involve me often enough for him to let me see private conversation with VForge members. But he was not afraid to tell me everything, which I don't know how to approach and generally didn't respond. So he would just like straight up show her large communication with some of the other artists where she just asked to be removed, which is highly unprofessional. Sunny responds, I see it. Okay, well, since the art needs to be done, I was thinking we can change the website completion date because it was supposed to be on the 24th. Soleil says we can at least push the landing page and then add more once thing gets revealed. We'll just have to tweak some elements and the mobile version needs to be done. And then he just sends her a bunch of other people's convos. This person is being a little extra pushy about her art in the banner too. Yeah, it makes me kind of uneasy. I don't know. Same, she didn't follow us on Blue Sky, so I'm like, obviously there's something else that's bothering her. Probably heard about all of the allegations. January 2026, Happy New Year. December was mostly work and me settling back into my parents' place with other troubles. It's sad that she's working so much and we already know that she's not gonna get paid for anything. Once January comes around, I heard news that in less than a week we're announcing a partnership with Luminara. It catches a lot of us off guard, including Firefox and I. We start working even harder on the website. However, as these things progress, a lot of the changes Sunny brought to the company is when I started having concerns about how useful I can be for the project, which also gave me more insight as to how we're approaching editing, which was nothing more than a sweatshop work. Hi Sol, I have news for the change coming from VForge here. As part of the restructure, VForge is shifting into a video editing focused production agency. This means we're narrowing our active offering to services directly involved in the video editing and publication process. After discussion, I realized currently we're just trying to do too much, which isn't stable. My priority is to secure VForge's future. So they're going to do short form edit, long form VOD scrubbing, thumbnails, and social media management. Okay, Soleil says, I did want to bring something up to you. I've talked with Firefox about this and got some insight, but I'm concerned. I know my progress on the site has been slow and I cannot blame anyone but myself for that fact. But with the downscaling, my usefulness has diminished a lot and I worry about that perception of me. I know the price I charge for myself is high and I don't expect to move on that number, but when we agreed that was a fine price, I didn't expect to receive no possible commission in that range in return. It reminds me of my time at Accenture where every job was given to the more qualified or the cheaper head to make the company more money. I was the one too expensive to hire or too underqualified to be hired. I don't know what your expectation for my usefulness are on the server, but I know I do want to make some work happen in here. And if you want to do simple edits of cuts and subtitles, I can find a price that works for me. But I want to be clear that I check every commission you send, but everyone you provide can never go to me if the price is that low. If I have to find those clients, that's my work that goes to me, not to VForge. I also work with a pretty sizable name, ad-free, and I'm asking her for more work with her friends too. This is stern, but for the lack of a better term, because I mean this as kindly as possible, I wouldn't mind some proactiveness to help find me some work within VForge to give back to what we're doing. A lot of typing. Thanks for being honest. Oh my god, there's just so much text. To be transparent, my next step is to introduce a new structure that is different from the original concept. This new structure means tighter scope, simpler offering, pricing that reflects what the Vtuber market is actually willing to buy consistently, even at the highest level. When you're gathering people for your agency, the first step would be to ask them for their prices, and then you have to see if it's reasonable and if you're gonna have any clientele for them. And if not, then yeah, I guess they'll just sit on the board and not get any money. But you should be the one like negotiating down their price if you think you're not going to be able to sell them or market them to anybody. That is your job. It's like when you get a real estate agent and your house sits on the market for many months, then the real estate agent was going to be like, you got to lower the price of your house. Nobody wants to lower the price of their house. Everybody wants to make mad money on it. But it's either that or you get zero. And if not, if he doesn't have like, you know, high profile clients, then she's not the right caliber for his agency. She needs something more premium. Let me set up an example scenario. If a client pays $30 for one short, says it's very well done, highly edited, the editor spends 2-3 hours doing animation, the client posts it and only gets 100 views, that's not something you want to continue investing in. Let's say instead of for $30, they could get 3 simpler short that gets them 3 times the algorithm potential engagement. That's the high quality on one did. To be dead honest, you can provide infinite what ifs. I mean, $30 for a short is, it better be a fucking good short. Depends how many you're getting too. For lower, the thing is, they're adding the commission price on top. Like VForge is taking a cut of it, so it's gonna be more expensive than going directly to the editors. For lower cost, high volume works that comes through VForge, assignments are going to be based on what fits the agency's pricing model and turnaround needs. For higher rate or independently sourced clients, that work absolutely stays yours and outside of VForge. Doomsday. This part has text with no evidence that I can access to back up. These will be marked in red. Our announcement of VForge working with Luminara goes live, and Sunny can't handle the DMs they're getting from other talents, one of which I have redacted here as our private convo. One line I said about jealousy was taken too literal and made Sunny upset, worrying about being used for their company. So I can't breathe right now. He's sending her a convo. Let's go. I'm kind of jealous. I've wanted that connection for a while. This is a VForge account, by the way. So we're all working with her if this goes right. Talking about somebody popular, I assume. I've been thinking about what you said here. I want to see this in a good way, but I just don't like how this sounds. Just because she said, I'm kind of jealous, I've wanted that connection for a while. That's nothing. Is he actually mad about this sentence? Oh, don't worry. I thought this was a personal reach out. I wasn't aware of it being part of VForge. Literally everything we've been able to achieve since we started should absolutely be celebrated as a joint achievement. Alright, I assumed you knew since you responded with, okay, I'm just very sleepy, sorry. He says, jealousy is a big no for me. That's not a trait I would want in a friend and in a team. But I understand, there's no hard feeling. Just wanted to be sure. I just want you guys to win just as much as me. Okay. Dude, what a fucking weirdo. During this time working with Firefox, Sunny and Wainwright, who recently had joined the team, about working on final contract members and staff would sign to officially work on project, and in this time period, Wainwright had reached out to Kamina, and when Kamina told Sunny about it, Sunny was not here for it, deciding on his own to terminate Wainwright. Wayne, you should have let me know that you're interested in reaching out to Cam, and I could have helped you set that up. You can't just friend request him out of the blue. Oh, those were the DMs shared that we read in the last stream. He's so mad because somebody friend requested Kamina without him introducing them. Like, it makes me look so bad. Shut up. I hope that's sarcasm. What sarcasm? Smiley. Hey Wayne, I don't think this partnership is going to work out. Thank you for your time. This guy he's out so hard. Sunny is such a pure clutcher. For clarification, Sunny is a CEO, but he works alongside a COO, Firefox, my manager. When decisions are made, they should work in tandem. Up to this point, Firefox is kept in the dark about meetings, and generally kept out of deal discussions with Luminara and more. When confronted, Sunny will use excuses to cover up the details. Removing Wainwright, changing the services we provide right before Luminara's announcement, this was all done with very little of Firefox's input, even though Firefox is eager. Once I caught wind of this, I wanted to talk to Sunny about things on my own, but adding this to my plate, I wanted to help as I can be a lot more emotional in my confrontation as opposed to Firefox. Okay, so she wants to talk about some things. So she asked him for a voice call, and then Sunny's like, well, can I know what's regarding? She says, depending on how the conversation goes, a lot of things, I would reserve an hour on average for the call. He says, I'm on lunch right now, I can call for 30 minutes. She says, I'd rather you not be at work so we can talk without stress. I'm fine, lol. If you think it's going to take super long, then I can wait. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how the conversation is going to go. So it might be as little as 15 minutes, but it could take an hour. The stress I meant to time crunch everything, so I'd rather wait. Alright, no worries. Kind of worries me that you're not telling me. She says, I know something happened. I don't think it'll take you too long to guess what I heard. I'm not mad, or at least I hope I won't be, but this talk is important. He says, I'm assuming it's what happened with Firefox. She says, and Wainwright. Yes. And no, I'm not looking to discuss this over text. I like how straight to the point she is, though. She says, I can explain it over VC. Are you good at a call at 7 EST? That works for me. Let me know when you're ready. Call was productive. While the discussion focused on the conflict with Wainwright and Firefox, there are messages deleted that were documents covering info I provided Sunny about the vision I saw for VForge since the beginning, and how the document was used to work on a proper branding guideline that featured a vision, values, voice, section utilizing this document. My personal goal was I wanted to be a C-suite member, helping assure that the company stayed on its vision to be a middleman and organizer for all kinds of commission. The conversation was receptive and positive, and when I shared the concerns about wrongfully terminating Wainwright, we both left the call in agreement that we'd talk to him about it in the morning. Instead, I woke up to find Firefox and myself terminated effective immediately. This guy is so insecure. He's so insecure, I can't. Okay, so she was signed on multiple times. Wainwright didn't have a contract. Sunny and I had an oral contract over the branding and web design. This is completely ignoring Firefox being a legal COO of VForge LLC. Immediate termination is not how these things work. I got the message from Sunny that saying that I was terminated. Hi Saul, after taking time to reflect, I decided to move in a different direction with VForce. This is a notification of separation. Decision is final and not up for debate. I genuinely appreciate the time and effort you've contributed. It's not out of malice, disrespect, or any personal gain, and I believe this is for the benefit of every party. Okay, to close this chapter, respectfully, I'd like to purchase the branding and related assets you created at a mutually agreed upon price. If we reach an agreement, I'll require a written IP transfer confirming full ownership of the assets to VForge. If you're not interested or unable to come to terms, I move forward without using the materials. I'd like to handle this professionally. Can we talk in further detail as to why this is the case? I would still prefer to work with you, assuming things that have occurred aren't out of malice towards affected parties. I see here to be no reason as to why I in particular need to be let go, other than recent events in which I've done nothing but be reasonable to everyone involved. But I assume you have your reasons, and I would be appreciative in knowing them. I understand you'd like more details. I've taken the time to reflect carefully before making this decision. This isn't based on one isolated event, but it includes a broader pattern of concerns around alignment, respect, trust, and leadership structure. Okay, well, I'm going to need some time to work on what's been done and what will be delivered and the cost of work that was completed and in progress. I will give you the invoice and the options to manage its bill in time. Sunny offers to pay for the work I had done so far, which I was happy to hear. However, my value in the work was weighted by the opportunities I would have helping build VForge and working with Sunny, considering what I have done with VForge was free of cost up to this point and I haven't even worked on a single video. The cost of that vanished entirely. I will need to charge Sunny the full price of my service with expectation to discuss payment plans. Branding 3,000, logo and visual identity 5K, vision, voice and positioning 3,000. Website research, website design, website development, branding guidelines, IP rights 11K. Like, it's a lot of money though. He's for sure never gonna accept that, especially if it wasn't discussed before. Basically, she was gonna give him a discounted price, provided that she would get opportunities with VForge later. But now he cut down the future opportunities, so she's like, I'm gonna charge him the full price. I want to be clear that we never agreed to market rate pricing on a formal paid structure for this work. Price outline showcased full commercial studio pricing, which was not established or approved at any point. Given that context, I'm not in a position to proceed at the valuation presented. So he's like, you know, give me something that I can work with, otherwise I'll move forward without using the material. She says, I understand that as a formal pricing structure wasn't established at the outset. However, the work delivered since October represents substantial strategy, design, and development effort across branding and web, which holds clear commercial value. As such, the assets cannot be used until payment is received or a mutually agreed buyout is arranged. The previously submitted invoice reflects fair market valuation, and industry peers have confirmed this is reasonable. I'm open to flexible payment arrangement, partial payment, whatever works best for you. The key point is that the work is compensated before any usage or transfer of rights. Well, to be clear, there was no formal pricing agreed, but there also was no agreement for free work. The work was requested and delivered, and as agreed, payment terms were to be determined later. Therefore, compensation is owed for the completed work, and the invoice reflects the pricing I charge for work of this scope and nature. But the thing that shocked me was the proposition he gave. He asked me to accept $800 for 4 months of branding and web design I provided for him, or to reject it while he wouldn't accept the IP rights. I would be walking away not paid for the 4 months of work, and I wouldn't accept the $800 anyways, as my effort without IP would still easily be around 20k. Big Mac combo with large bev, $1,500. Extra Big Mac sauce, 5k. So he's offering her $800. She says this is significantly below the value of the work. There are 3 ways we can reasonably finalize this project, but she needs to offer him a lower price. She's like not bulging on her price, and he he clearly doesn't have the money to pay it. So then he's like, okay, well, in order to resolve this without further escalation, I'm willing to offer a settlement of $1,000. Since I was verbally frustrated, I needed time to think it over, and by the think it over, it actually involved talking to a lawyer. 2 days later, Sunny messaged me back asking for an update on the decision, and I may have cracked a little, but the fact he was pressuring me into an agreement that felt like an extortion, I wasn't going to let that slide. Hi Sol, I understand you need time to consider, but for operational clarity, I do need to resolve this as soon as possible. VForge cannot continue publishing or operating under branding without clarity on rights. Please let me know your decision by the end of today. You fired me without cause, effective immediately on today, and then you expect me to make a decision by the end of Saturday when I can't even consult an attorney? This is not how this works. Use it or not, your outstanding balance stands regardless of your urgency to resolve this. We clearly disagree on valuation. To eliminate any dispute regarding usage, I will continue use of all associated branding and website materials effective immediately. I will discontinue, okay. My $1,000 settlement offer for rights remain open should you decide to resolve this without further escalation. I didn't message him back for a week. In fact, to this day I have not messaged anything in response. However, he did send one last message saying he's withdrawing his settlement because they work with another person. Let's get one thing straight. They promised that we'd discuss payment, that I would be paid for the work I did, and 4 months later I get told that I'm being forced out and you're only getting paid 3% of the work you did. And forcing me to take the money for rights is even worse. Not even a walk-away fee. That's not a settlement, that's extortion. There's a response docky from Sunny. Yeah, this is why you come to an agreement price beforehand. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that goes in small court. And even in corpos, literally, even I've seen people in lawyer's office get wrongfully terminated without the 2 weeks notice. You know, you'd think lawyers would abide by the law, but no, they're like, because everybody's operating under the guise of, well, then take me to court. And usually people don't want to go to court, so they end up settling out of court for a much lower price. It's like a sneaky way to end up paying people less. Sunny's a con artist. He forced not only me but Firefox into months of laborious work, bringing VForge to where it's now, only to throw us off the ship. He's using the same tactic that Kamina is using. This goes with the VForge thing. This is Sunny's response. Her face. This document is a factual response to the allegation made publicly against VForge and its CEO. Okay, so it's addressing the allegation made by Soleil, and the decision to distance VForge from Luminara was made because it was the right thing to do given what came to light publicly. That decision stands on its own and is unrelated to the claims addressed here. Section 1, the Kamina claim. Soleil document implies that VForge relationship with Kamina and Luminara influenced my personal internal decision. The record does not support this. Kamina initiated contact with me on Jan 3rd, 2026. This is documented by the beginning of our Discord message history in which he reached out to congratulate VForge on its launch. This was the first and only contact I had with him prior to the Luminara partnership being discussed. Okay, but what about Twitter DMs? When I mentioned early on that I was just friends with a few people from Luminara, I was referring to other individuals within the agency, not Kamina. That statement has been misread as evidence of a prior relationship with specifically. Sure, I can believe that. The VForge and Luminara partnership was officially announced on Feb 2, 2026, after combination with Kamina had been solidified. Soleil's description of the events did not accurately line up with the evidence timeline below. The compensation claim. Sol volunteered her design services on October 6, and at the time, I was transparent that VF could not offer payment immediately. Sol's own word in that conversation were, so asking for payment for something you didn't ask for would be indecent of me. She proceeded on the understanding that payment would be discussed at a future point when appropriate. This arrangement was agreed on by both parties. On December 11, Sol provided her own pricing structure directly in the conversation. Logo design, brand mark, wordmark 150, research, and brand consulting 50 per session, color palette and style guidelines additional cost. The work Sol completed for VForge consisted of an incomplete website, a letter mark, a brand mark, and adjustments to a color palette that I had already provided to her. Based on her own publicly listed rates and the rates she communicated directly to me, the deliverable completed do not approach a 5-figure invoice she later submitted. I mean, this is kind of true. Despite the absence of a formal agreed price structure, I made 2 settlement offers. Initial offer of $800 and a follow-up offer of $1,000. Additionally, Sol was paid $150 in November when she was still early in the process of working on the VForge website. The website timeline, Sol's document describes 4 months of consistent ongoing work for VForge. but the documented timelines tells a different story. So she volunteers on October 6th. On October to November, initial design discussion and local concept takes place. Work is largely exploratory. November 22, 2025, follow-up asking if Saul had seen my previous messages about the website, indicating no meaningful progress has been made in the weeks prior. So she wasn't working full-time for him, is what he's saying. She kind of implied that she was working, you know, long hours. So in December 2024, I checked in again on the website. Sol acknowledges her progress has been slow and attributes this to personal circumstances, stating she will try to work over it on the holiday. Jan 28, Sol herself states in writing, I know my progress on the site has been slow and I cannot blame anyone but myself for that fact. Things have been busy and it's up to me to make that time. February 6th, the website is delivered. At delivery, it's still showing we're under construction on VForgeAgency.com and required troubleshooting to set up basic form functionality. I thought they agreed that they would only do the landing page though, because one of his artists didn't want to be on a banner. The website was not the product of 4 months of sustained dedicated effort. Saul acknowledged the delays were her own personal responsibility. The termination of Saul's working relationship with VForge was not sudden, arbitrary, or retaliatory. Decision made in the context of a pattern of conduct that I determined would not work with the direction of VForge. Saul initiated a call with me on February 18, 2026, deliberately withholding the subject matter beforehand despite being asked directly what it was regarding. During that call, the conversation covered concerns about the Wainwright situation, the restructuring of VForge and Saul's roles within the company. The nature and tone of that conversation, combined with prior conduct, led me to conclude that continuing the working relationship was not viable. I feel like he got threatened by that call. Like he's like the type of person that if you're not 100% on board, he has a problem with it. I want to be precise about what I can and cannot say here. Some aspects of the events surrounding the termination are subject to an ongoing legal review, and I am limited in what I can address publicly. What I can say is that my decision was made to protect VForge's integrity as a business, and it was not made lightly or without cause. The characterization that Saul was terminated without warning or reason, without any offer of compensation is false. Compensation was offered. Yeah, but if you offered $2, I offered you like 3% of what you expected, and take it or leave it. Section 5, the logo and branding. So I suggest that VForge's current branding retains element of the work she produced. I want to address this directly. VForge's name is a design of VTubers and VForge. Forge produces fire, cinders, and heat. The letter V is central to this identity. Orange, yellow, and red flame are flame colors. These are not design choices made from Saul's work. They are the natural colors of our brand concept. The color palette was decided before Saul had begun. The current website and branding were produced by current VForge staff members, outsourced artists and coders, or VForge staff, all of whom were compensated for their work. The link to Saul's website was removed from our profile as soon as our working relationship with VForge ended. So wait, which one did she do? I mean, they look very similar. VForge is a company I built from nothing with no connection and no business experiences and limited resources. I did not handle every aspect of this situation perfectly. Communication could have been clear at certain point, and as a first-time business owner, I have learned lessons from this experience that I'm applying moving forward. Question: in what form? You posted this in a render server. All the DMs I have with you are clear as day. If you heard anything, it is hearsay and not asking me personally is your problem. Yeah, I offered 1 cookie and some hate. Take it or leave it. Hey, you! Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell button, and I'll see you in the next video.